legs out straight, depending on how your back is feeling at any given time. As I said, I'm going to flow with you today, so for those of you who are visuals, you'll get to see that. So just allow your body weight to sink down into the block or the mat. I'm actually going to turn myself on the side just so I can see you better. Let your arms rest by your side or over your head, whatever feels good to you. For those of you who were in my challenge class yesterday, that movement just woke up my chest. So maybe you're feeling the same thing. So open up your arms, let them just relax by your side, over your head, on your belly, on your heart, whatever feels good. And if your legs are outstretched, make sure you're not squeezing your glutes. So let go of that and let your body weight sink down into the block or the mat. And just begin to notice your breath and notice how the breath flows today. You know, every day is different. And every experience on the mat is different. What you felt yesterday, you may not feel today or ever again. We really can't anticipate. So don't anticipate what's going on in your bodies. Just let it happen. We're only here for a few more breaths. Just kind of bringing ourselves into the space today. Feel the rise and fall of the chest and the belly, and then let everything empty. And if your legs are stretched out in front of you, go ahead and bend them. As I said, we're not here that long this morning. Just kind of wanted to get a little bit of a change and a release. And if your arms are over your head, bring them back by your side. Let the palms open up and just open the chest and shoulders a little bit more. On the next inhaling breath, we're going to push away from the floor, lift our hips up. If there's a block there, remove it. Articulate your spine back down to the floor, and then hug your knees all the way up to your chest. If you'd like to, lift your head and shoulders up, round and curl your whole spine. Maybe you're holding onto your shins, the tops of your foot to your ankle, or maybe you can grab all the way to the pointy edges of your elbows. Breathe in and breathe out. I'm going to make my screen bigger so I can see you bigger. Inhale. And as you exhale, start to just kind of rock back and forth on your spine until you have that nice massage on your spine, and come up, cross your ankles and come up onto your hands and knees into a tabletop position. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. Tuck your toes, dip your belly, arch your back, broaden your collarbones, and wag your tail a little bit from side to side. And then make your way back through center, hold it in neutral, pull the belly in. Not too rounded, not too flat, right? Somewhere between two extremes. As we head into the next extreme, release the tops of the feet, chin to chest, head hangs down. Tuck that tailbone underneath you, bring your tailbone towards you, or your sitting bones towards your hamstrings. And then inhale, arch your back, dip your belly, broaden your collarbones, cat and cows. Using your breath as you exhale, round and curl. As you inhale, dip your belly, arch your back, broaden your collarbones. And do it a couple times, yeah? Round and curl, push the hands away, or the floor away from the hands. Tuck your toes, arch your back. And then take this, if you like, into the dancing lions. You can start out nice and small. So again, I'm going to do the practice with you. For those of you who are visual, some of you I can't see, so I don't know what you're doing. If you want me to see and help you, feel free to turn your screens on. And if not, I'm going to stay with you. And then just keep moving around in circles. Go bigger if it feels like you're ready for that back off. If you need to, let it all go. And if you haven't already, let's just change sides. Maybe you need to start off small again. And maybe you want to go a little bit bigger and deeper. And just really kind of juicing up our joints here. It's like any other warm-up we do in fitness, right? It's just designed to get our bodies ready. And then come forward and back a couple times, just dipping your belly, arching your back, kind of a hybrid pose into a child's pose. And do that a couple more times. Just arch your back, broaden your collarbones. If that's too much, don't go so far. And then let's all meet back in child's pose with the toes touching, knees wide, arms out in front of you. Spread your fingers on the mat. spread your pinky toes towards, pinky fingers towards the edges of the mat. So you feel this opening in the upper back, neck, shoulder area. Let your belly soften in between your thighs. And just empty out, just like that. And start to breathe into the spaces between the shoulder blades, side to side. And from the bottom of your head to the bottom of your, or the top of your tailbone, long. Wrapping around, breathing in, breathing out. Notice your breath again. And as you start to move, notice, can you keep that breath with you without hyperventilating, without holding it or losing it? Take one more breath here. Rise back up to your hands and knees. Bring your knees under your hips, your hands under your shoulders. Tuck your toes underneath you. And then lift your hips up off the floor. Bend your knees into your first downward facing dog. Let your head hang between the arms. And feel the same thing you felt in your hands as we did in child's pose. The spreading of the fingers, the pressing of the heel towards the heel of the hand, towards the front of the mat, and the spreading of the pinky fingers towards the edges of the mat. Now see if you can do something similar to that with your feet. Spread your toes. Maybe your weight's a little bit more in your heels. Maybe your heels are down. That's not everybody. And then see if you can just pull those pinky toes towards the edges of the mat. You should feel a whole different ball game here of energy. Take another breath, and then walk your hands back to your feet so you're in a standing forward bend uttanasana. Your feet should be about hips width apart. Breathe in and breathe out. Good. And now grab opposite elbows and hang. Just remute yourself, Randy. And then pull your opposite arms apart. Maybe you want to sway a little bit. Bend your knees as much as you need to. And then when you're ready, just switch the cross of your arms. Just stay here and really relish this forward fold. First one. Let the arms relax. Let them just release from each other. Bring your chin to your chest. And start to roll through your spine. Take your time, one vertebrae at a time. Shoulders roll back and around as you stand all the way up. And then arms come by your side. So my feet are still spread. My pinky toes are pressing outward towards the outer edges of the mat, so I get this nice work in my outer thigh, my outer hip area. Take a breath in as you stretch the arms all the way over your head. Interlace your fingers. Turn the palms upside down and inside out. And then tuck your ribs under towards your hips. Tuck your tailbone under so you're not arching your back and sticking your butt up there. And then just lean over to your right side. Exhale. Lift your heart up. Open your throat. Find some lift on the bottom side of your body. Inhale back to center. My challengers are probably feeling this. Exhale up and over to the other side. Pull the top arm with the bottom arm. Reach up and out of your waistline. And then inhale back to center. Lift your heart up. Hands behind your head. You okay, Tamara? Open up the arms. Tuck the tailbone under. And then let's go ahead and bring the elbows by the ears. Drop the chin to the chest. And roll down slowly through your spine. When you get to the floor, release your hands. Lengthen your spine. Look forward halfway. Melt and fold. Hands on the floor in front of your feet. So if your hands don't touch the floor, bend your knees so they can, or put your hands on blocks. Inhale, come to your fingertips, lengthen your spine. Walk your hands out one arm's length, so you're on your fingertips, your heels maybe still be back. Sit your weight a little bit back again, one more breath. Look forward, do the same thing. Walk your hands out again. Maybe you're on your fingertips, maybe you're on your palms. And then I want you to continue walking until you find your dimensions for your downward facing dog. And then adjust your jaw. Stay here, we're here for a few breaths. You can play with it, you can bend one knee at a time. You can stay here and just try to press your heels towards the floor. Just feel it out, see where you're at. Melt your heart in between your arms, towards your thighs, let your head hang down. Maybe shake out the head, yes and no, a couple times. And then let's go ahead and measure out the length of our planks and our down dog. So come high on your toes, pull your knees up. Look towards your hands and come shift into a high plank. Resist the earth with the heel of the hands. So spread the upper back, pull the belly in, breathe in, crown of the head is in line with the tailbone, really. You're looking towards the front of your mat. As you empty the breath, go back to your downward facing dog. Biceps by the ears, chest towards the thighs. Breathe in and breathe out. Let's do that one more time. High up on your toes, engage your quadricep muscles, pull your pelvic muscles up. Come forward to a high plank pose. Resist the earth with the heel of the hands. And then one more time, push back to downward facing dog. This time, just take an extra breath here as you soften your knees, look forward, walk to the front of your mat. Bring your hands on top of your feet, shin or blocks, lengthen your spine. Inhale and exhale. Another breath, good. Fold over, let it go. Soften the knees, lengthen your spine, bring your hands to your hip points, and rise up to a standing position. Bring your feet closer together, bring your arms down by your sides. Take a big breath in, bring the arms overhead. Exhale, fold right back through the center. Hands to floor, shins or blocks. Halfway lift, inhale. Empty the breath and fold as you exhale. One more time, lengthen your spine and bring the arms out to the side as you rise up, kind of like a good morning. Empty the breath as you bring your hands to your heart, bring your hands by your side. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, bring the arms all the way up, arch back. Exhale, fold through your center, hands to floor, shins or blocks. Halfway lift. Remember, this practice is for any level. So you can modify, you can intensify. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, rise halfway. Rise up to standing and bring your hands to your heart center. So I encourage you to do you, right? I want you to do the best you can for you. Doesn't matter what anybody else can do or what even I tell you. Open your eyes, Surya Namaskar A. Open the arms up overhead, breathe in. Empty the breath, fold back through heart center all the way down to the floor. We're going to modify this first Sun A. Halfway lift, lengthen your spine. As you exhale, step to a high plank. So if you want to further that and jump, you can go there. Now this one first, bring your knees to the floor. Release chin and chest to the floor, elbows hug in by your sides. Roll back onto your belly and lift your chest up. Squeeze your elbows by your side, keep the crown of your head. I'm just looking up so I can see you. There you are, good. Shoulders back and down, top of the feet pressed down. Find some energy in those legs. Then push seat to heels, tuck your toes. Lift your knees up off the floor and find your downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here. Inhale and exhale. Biceps stay by the ears, pressing our heels towards the floor, chest towards the thighs. Looking forward on the next breath, we step or jump or walk to the top of the mat. Halfway lift on the inhale, fold on the exhale. Ride your breath to stand all the way up. Bring your hands up overhead. Bring your hands to your heart center as you exhale. Arms by your side. And let it go. Surya Namaskar A again. Arms up. Inhale. Exhale. Fold through heart center. Hands to floor, shins or blocks. Lengthen your spine. Inhale. And make your way back to a plank. You can walk it, jump it, float it. Lower down to your knees or come halfway down with the legs straight. Rolls through upward facing dog or you're on your belly. Resting their pedicure on the floor, downward facing dog, we meet and breathe. If that's too much child's poses in your picture, go for it. Always feel free to modify. You can intensify by adding push-ups to that chaturanga, or you can skip the whole darn thing. One more breath. Look forward on your toes, make your way to the top of the mat, halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Ride your breath to stand all the way up. Bring your hands to your heart center. Exhale. We're going to do that one more time. Surya Namaskar A. Inhale. Bring the arms all the way up overhead. Exhale. Forward fold. Inhale. Halfway lift. Exhale. Make your way through chaturanga. So you can modify, you can intensify, you can skip it all together. Upward dog and downward dog is where we all meet. Breathe in. And empty the breath. Feel the same thing we felt in the first spreading of the fingers, the spreading of the arms. Breathe in and out. One more. Good. Now high up on your toes. Bring your right leg in between your hands. And let's go ahead and lower the left knee to the floor. So if you need to assist that foot to the front of the mat, go ahead. If you need blocks anywhere underneath your hands or any assistance on your knee, double up your mat, come onto pillows or blankets. So climb to your fingertips and just see if you can lift your belly off your thigh a little bit. Right? Not a whole lot just yet, but just don't collapse onto your thigh. Good. Now, feel that back leg. The right knee should be over the ankle. The left leg, you should be just ahead of your kneecap, right? Just above it. And now let's go ahead and bring the hands on top of our thigh. Push your right knee forward. Good. Now, I want you to come back so you're at more of a right angle with your left leg and draw your right leg back a little bit more if you can, if you need to. So just hold here. So very rarely do I put us in this position, right? So we're right angle here, hip and knee, right angle. Bring your arms over your head. Inhale. Good. Exhale. From here, just straighten your front leg. Readjust it so that you're still at that right angle with your left leg and fold over the leg, hands to the floor, shins or blocks. So it's going to feel a slightly different sensation on both legs, really. Turning your toes out towards your face. Those of you who want to can grab one or two hands to your foot and draw the toes up towards the face. Breathe in. One more big breath. We're going to release this in a few moments. So have some patience. As you rebend the front knee now, let's go back into the longer stretch for the back hip flexors. Bring your hands back forward. Good. Bring your arms back overhead. Inhale. Exhale. Lift a little taller through your spine. Bring your ribs towards your hips, belly towards your spine. Tuck that tailbone under, so no pouchy ribs. As you empty the breath, bring the hands to the floor again. Tuck the left toes underneath you. Lift the knee up. Hug everything towards midline. Make your adjustments. Left hand stays on the floor or a block. Sweep the right arm back and around. Right knee stays right over that ankle. And draw your hips towards your midline. Maybe your eye gaze goes to the right hand. Maybe not. Maybe it's just still looking down at the floor. And then again, squeeze everything towards midline. So that right hip pulls inward. Inhale the same stretch with the feet and the hands. We're still feeling that energy. Empty the breath, right hand comes down, right leg straightens, and we fold over this leg. Pull the right hip back, left hip forward, hang your head towards your shin. Walk your hands forward, and just feel a little bit more intensity into that stretch. So there's very subtle ways that we can intensify stretches. We don't have to go like all crazy. One more breath. Good. Rebend your front knee, plant your hands on the floor, step back to a high plank pose. Hold the plank, not your breath. Shift a little forward and come down to a chaturanga, or skip it and just go back to down dog, or perhaps even child's pose. Hips in the air. So we'll treat our child's pose or downward dog as this resting pose in between the flows. It's like the thoughts in between the thoughts, or the space in between the thoughts. Looking forward, step your left leg all the way to the top. Help it out if you need to. Lower the right knee to the floor. First, settle in here. And notice, are you dumping all your body weight onto that left thigh? Or can you put some energy through your center? Lengthen your spine, push back. Now bring your hands on top of your thigh. Push that left knee forward. And then we're going to straighten up a little bit more so the right knee is right under our hip. And you might have to adjust that front leg a little bit. Okay, for some of you this feels very natural. For some of us it doesn't feel really natural at all. Take a breath and bring the arms overhead. Breathe in. Good. As you exhale, we're going to lower the hands to the floor. And we're going to straighten that leg. And now adjust it so that you're still knee under hip on the right leg. So your knee may be bent. You may have to extend that leg out a little bit more. Maybe you want to hold on with one or two hands to the foot. Your choice. Just notice how this subtle change in where our hip is affects our other hamstring in the stretch. Right? Breathe in and empty out. One more. Now lower your left foot, bend the knee. hands on the floor. Tuck your right toes underneath you, lift the knee up. Take your left hand and sweep it up and open, and as you do that, draw your left hip towards midline. Bring your crown of your head towards the front. Pull your knees up, squeeze your hips together, and make the rotation from the spine, not just by pulling your shoulder back. And maybe you gaze up, maybe you don't. Are you strengthening and working on that right quad at the same time? One more breath. As you empty the breath, left hand comes down. Left leg goes straight. You might have to adjust your back foot in a little bit or a lot. And then walk your hands out a little bit more. Feel a completely different stretch, maybe in your back, maybe in your hamstrings. Breathe in, breathe out. And then we're going to rebend that left knee into our lunge. Step back through a vinyasa, step to plank. Lower your way, skip it, add, and make your way to downward facing dog. Or if it's child's pose, take child's pose. Soften the knees, let the head hang down. Chest towards your thighs. Breathe. Good. Bring your feet to touch each other. Let's take the right leg in the air. Lift it up high. And then bring it down parallel to the floor so the toes turn down, the hips square off, pushing the heel of the hand forward. I'm bending my left knee and pulling that right hip back so my sides of my body are parallel, my thigh is strong and parallel. One more breath here. Bring the right knee to the chest. As you exhale, come forward to plank with your knee at your chest. Step it through. Help it out if you need to. Right hand comes up. We open up to that twist. Hold, bring your left side to your right side here. Inhale and exhale. Keep thinking about hugging that midline. Right arm comes down. Right leg straightens. Walk your hands forward just for the one breath here. Then bring your hands on the inside of that right foot. Turn your left foot on its side. That right hip's going to want to sneak out, so try to draw it back in. You might need a block, guys, so feel free to grab blocks. And then we're going to take the right hand and bring it a little bit more under the shoulder. Open up your left arm, triangle pose. Now this may be very deep for some of us, so we might not have all the length that we would have if we came from the standing position. So guess what? Look down at your toes. Rise up to standing. Adjust your shoulders over your hips. And then heel toe the back foot in, perhaps or not. So you need to see where you need to be. Heel to instep alignment. Wider if you need it. So right now my shoulders and my hips point to the left side of the room. My arms are shoulder height in two directions. Pull the knees up, protect. Pull up your pelvic floor, draw your navel point inward. Move your hips to the left, move your torso to the right, like you're slicing through air, right? Reach out, reach out, reach out. When you can no longer reach out, right arm down, left arm up. And it's imagine that our back side of our body is leaning against a wall. And now, I like to do this a lot. Take your left hand peace fingers and bring it under your bottom ribs. And if you can't find them, you're probably collapsed into them. So you need to raise your arm up higher, anywhere but your knee. And then hold that left arm so you're like a T. Stacking shoulders, opening up hips, pull your knees up, strengthen, strengthen, strengthen. One more big breath. Good. Now, look down at your right foot. Bend your right knee. Bring your right hand in front or to the side or on a block and start to bring yourself into Ardha Chandrasana, half moon balance. Open up your shoulders, open up your hips. Your body or your legs are like an L shape. So think about bringing that left hip up and around, stacking it on the right. Your right foot should be perfectly parallel on the floor, right? It should be toes in front of you, knee on top of the ankle, right? Breathe. Another big breath, gang. Hold on to it. Not your breath. Hold on to the pose, the thought, the space in between the thought. Bring your right hand back down onto your left hip. Your left hand onto your left hip. Soften your right knee and float yourself back gently into triangle pose. Left arm up, right arm down. One more breath. Good. Now take the left arm down, spin yourself around to the front of the room, and step back and flow. Take your time, do what you gotta do. Upward and downward facing dogs, hips up in the air. So just surrender into this pose, let it guide you, let your breath guide you. Remember, the breath that we had in the beginning of class is the breath that we flow with, even though sometimes the work gets challenging. One more breath here, feet together. Left leg high in the sky, bend your right knee, and then drop your left hip parallel to the floor, toes down. Keep bending the knee, sit back towards that right heel. Good, stay there, one more breath. Bring your left knee to your chest, come forward to a high plank with your knee in your chest, and step your left foot through. Right hand moves in, maybe on a block, left arm opens up. Looking good, guys. Twisting to the left side of the room. So we did this side in triangle just now, actually, so breathe. Pull that right knee up, pull that left hip in. One more breath, and then release your hands to the floor, straighten your left leg, and fold over. You right here, you might even feel that you need to shorten your stance even now. And then bring both hands on the inside of the left foot. Spin the right foot on its side. Maybe you need a block under that left hand. Move it back so it's under your shoulder. And then sweep the right arm up in the air. Notice the difference from side to side. Breathe in, crown of the head forward, tailbone back. So like you're being pulled to the ceiling with your right arm and pulled to the earth with your left arm. Take a big breath in. This may not feel really comfortable for a lot of us because it's a really big stretch. So I want you to look down at your left foot and then gently rise yourself up standing. Fingers reach in two directions, and maybe heel toe that back foot in once or twice, and then adjust that back hip, bring it up, or down actually, and shift the pelvis so that the shoulders and the hips are at level. So you've got to shift that pelvis into a fairly neutral position to start. Breathe in, arms out. Now we're going to move it out. Right hip towards the right, or hips towards the right, torso towards the left. Reach as long as you can, like you're being pulled, 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 and then the left arm comes down, right arm comes up. Gaze up at the right arm just for a moment. If it's too uncomfortable for your neck, go back down, looking down. But see if you can see it straight up over your shoulder, and imagine that you're leaning against a wall. Take your right peace fingers and bring them underneath the bottom ribs. If you can't find them, you're probably too far down and collapse. So lift up and then rotate the torso so the left side moves towards the right side. Everything is nice and strong. Breathe in, breathe out. One more big breath. Look down at the left foot. Now, if you've got to make adjustments, put your hand on your hip, whatever you need to do. Soften that front leg. We fly in 3, 2, 1. Come on up. Opening up your hips so it's stacking on top of it, your shoulder. It's the same pose, only one leg comes off the floor. Think about it, right? Breathe in, breathe out. Hug your hips towards the center point. Hold your shoulders over each other. Pull your right leg long and away. And that same feeling in triangle of that left side of your torso lifting is here in Ardha Chandrasana. Half moon balance. Take your time. Breathe in, breathe out. Feel the length in both directions. The right arm pulling up, left arm bringing down, right leg pulling out, left leg grounding, supporting ourselves, right? Our foundation. One more breath. Now bring your right hand on top of your right hip or your thigh, and then softly find your way back to your triangle. One more big breath. Woo, I almost fell out of my triangle. I was a fallen triangle for a moment. On the exhaling breath, we're going to windmill down to the floor, spin it around, take a vinyasa, clear your slate, upward and downward facing dogs. And if that's ever not enough for you, take a pose and rest, or repose. Breathe. Step your feet to touch. Right leg in the air, bend the left knee. Push your weight back, drop your right hip parallel to the floor. Bring the right knee to the chest, come forward, step it through. Right arm lifts for twist. Right arm comes down, spin your back leg, straighten your leg. Left arm up for triangle, one breath. Look up or look down and come up. Good, let's readjust that back leg in, back to our triangle one more time. Right hand down, left arm up, and twist. Can you find a little bit more space here? Maybe some of you want to take that left arm over your head. Maybe some of you want to take the right arm to meet it. If you do that, I would come up a little bit higher again so we're not collapsed into that right side of the body. Look down for one breath as we fly into Ardha Chandrasana. We're not here that long, but your body should have a fine memory of it. One more big breath. Now as you exhale this time, left hand down, square your hips, grab blocks if you need to, and step about halfway back on the mat. So our hips are squared to the front of the mat. Inhale for length. And exhale, fold over your right leg. So straight pyramid pose. Breathe in and breathe out. On the inhaling breath, I want you to climb to your fingertips. So if you have a block, you can place it inside or outside of the right foot. Bring your hands to your hips, keep length in your spine, top of the head to the tailbone, and then rise up to standing. So when you get here, you might have to adjust your stance. You shouldn't be on a tightrope. You should have your feet about hips width apart. Both shoulders, both hips are facing the front of the mat, and both hips are level, right? So we're not just sinking off to one side. Bring your arms up over your head, inhaling. Take your right hand and place it on your sacrum, palm facing whatever direction feels right to you. So this now gives me the opportunity to pull my right shoulder and my left shoulder parallel or level. And then reach out with your left hand as you start to bring yourself forward. Crown of the head to the tailbone, lengthening your spine, reaching like you're shaking my hand, and then rotate before you come down, and then bring the hand on the floor, shin or block. So inhale for length in the spine, and then exhale for the depth into the twist. If it feels like you're ready to stack your shoulders, right arm can come up, revolve or twisted triangle, Parivrtta, Trikonasana pose. Hug your hips towards midline. Breathe, squeeze. You're gonna feel something, it's okay. We need to feel things, right? That's how we know we're alive. Breathe in, breathe out. Now, listen carefully as you take that right hand down and empty your breath. Bring it on the outside of the right foot. Maybe far to the middle, maybe not. Some of you might even take another twist here, if you like it. Now be conscious that you're not rolling onto that right blade of the foot right here. Not that it's wrong, but today I want you to keep the big toe down so you have the sensation of what's going on in your IT dance. One more big breath. Lengthen your spine, walk around to the center, and just fold inside of your right leg. Inhale and exhale. Come to your fingertips. Bring your right hand inside, bring your left arm up. Take your left hand, bind it behind your back. You can stay right there, or maybe you have a full bind where you take your right hand underneath that right leg. Lengthen your spine and twist. So bring your crown of your head to the front of your mat. Bring your left shoulder back, bring your right shoulder forward, and lift the right side of your torso up. Some of you are going to want to stay here. Some of you might want to fly. Take your right foot in front of you and maybe lift your left leg up off the floor. Or maybe some of you want to take a bird of paradise. Bring your left foot to your right foot, rise up to standing. So I want you to play with what you have. Go, Cindy. There you go. Take your time. Balancing poses are not meant to go. Good. Who's that? Lauren. Good job, guys. And when you're ready, good, Cindy. Now stand a little more upright. Beautiful. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. And everybody, slowly, bring it down. So if you have your left leg behind you, let's bring it forward so that both feet, are facing the front of your mat. And we're just in a nice forward twist. My knees are bent. My chest is lifted. One more breath. And then look down as you exhale. Release your hands carefully. Fold over, sway a little side to side. If your block is still at the right side, just move it over to the left side because you know you're going to need it maybe later. Lengthen your spine, inhale. Walk, step, float, hop, fly, back to the back. Take your chaturanga, upward and downward facing dogs. Boy, oh boy, I hope I remember that whole thing, huh? Chest towards thighs, feet together. Rise up on your toes, left leg in the air. Now bend your right knee and really sit back and square off those hips. Turn your toes down towards the floor. Push away with the heel of the hand. Left knee to chest round and curled and shifted forward to a plank and step it between your hands. Help it out if you need to. Right hand moves in, left arm moves up, we twist. Inhale and exhale, so we don't hold as long these times. As you empty the breath, left hand inside, right foot turns on its side. Straighten the front leg, find your triangle on the floor. Good, look down and rise it up to your triangle pose. So make whatever adjustments you need to by shortening your stance. Move your hips to the right, torso to the left. Trikonasana, triangle pose. We're here for just a few moments. Inhale and exhale. Then we look down, bend your left knee. Bring your left hand to the front of the mat. And then come on up. Breathe. Ardha Chandrasana. Breathe in, breathe out. Now this time, right hand comes down. Hips square. Right knee in your chest, round and curl. I'm not sure if I did this on the other side. Mea culpa, do it on the other side later. Step your right foot down. Square your shoulders and hips. Fold. So for my guys playing my little trivia game this morning, this is the song. Now tell me that you can tell me later the Broadway show. Fold over. Climb to your fingertips. Hands to your hips. Lengthen your spine. Come on up. No cheating, by the way. No shazamming. No nothing. Left hand on your sacrum. Shoulders and hips are squared to the front of the room. Make sure you're not collapsing. You want to stay as even as you can, right? Everything with length first. Left hand to your sacrum. Right arm up. Inhale. Lift out of your torso, out of your waistline. Reach forward. Shake my hand. Nice to meet you. Lengthen your spine. Then rotate. Then the right hand comes down on the floor. Shin. Maybe you use a block. There's no shame in blocks, by the way. Stack your shoulders. In my next class in our yin, restorative yin, we'll be using blocks and everything else. One more big breath. Now, if you want to, take the left arm up. Keep hugging the hips towards midline. Keep bringing the right side towards the left, but keep lengthening at the same time so we're not collapsed. We are finding energy in our bodies. One more breath. Exhale the hands on the outside of that left leg. You might want to put your block there as well and hug towards midline. Some of you can take a twist again. Can you put that left big toe on the floor? I know what it feels like. It feels like the same to me as it does to you, so have no fear. One more breath, maybe even worse. Good. Inhale. Walk back to the center. Bring both hands inside that left leg. Right arm comes up here. I'm okay with you shift your hips off a little bit. You can stay here or take that right arm and bind it. The bind may become full if you choose to. Left hand under right. Turn your torso to the right side. So a couple of options here. Stay right where you are is one of them. If you want to play with your lamba, shift your weight to your left leg, and maybe that right leg will float off the floor. Some days it does, and some days it doesn't. And then some of you might want to bring your right foot to the left and come up for your bird of paradise. So again, take your time. Good. Look at you guys. Awesome. Good. Nice, Tamara. So it doesn't matter what you look like. It's how you're feeling on the inside. And if it challenges you a lot, well, good. Right? It's okay to be challenged. And now if you're in anything else, come back and bring your right foot to your left foot at the top of your mat. Bend your left knee and take a little spinal twist here. And then release your hands slowly and carefully. Fold into Uttanasana. Halfway lift, lengthen. Make sure your feet are about hips width apart, 2 fists in between. Take your peace fingers around your big toes. Lengthen your spine with your thumbs underneath. Long breath. And then fold as you straighten the legs, head towards the shins. The legs don't ever have to be perfectly straight. Crown of the head down, shoulders. I've had some people lately tell me that they keep their shoulders lifting towards their ears. I'm very conditioned to keeping shoulders and ears apart. What feels right to you? Because gravity's pulling it there anyway. One more breath as you inhale, lengthen your spine. Release your hands to your hips, and with a flat back, rise up to standing. Bring your feet together. Bring your arms by your side, Tadasana. Close your eyes for a moment, ground yourselves. So feel the crown of the head reaching towards the sky. Feel the tailbone tucking underneath you and the feet grounded so firmly into the earth. The energy rises up through your legs and your pelvis, through your torso, all the way up to the top of that head. Your heart is open, your shoulders pull back and down. Take another breath and inhale, open your eyes. Stretch the arms with you overhead. Exhale, take it down to the floor, your way, hands to floor, shins or blocks. Lengthen your spine, inhale. Walk, step, float, hop, fly through chaturanga, exhale. Upward dog, into downward dog, hips up in the air. Breathe in. Breathe out. Rise high up on your toes. Shift back to your high plank. Option to bring your knee to the floor or just bring your right hand to the center and spin onto the right side. Stack, stagger, whatever you do with your top leg is up to you. Lift it up, hold it up, whatever you're doing. Tree pose, shoulder over wrist. Now take your top leg, whatever you're playing with, and just bring it behind you, fallen or dancer's bridge. Left arm up, hips up. Don't let your hips collapse down to the floor. Push through the hand, pull through the foot, and open up that back. One more breath. As you exhale, return to your high plank. Separate your hands. Pull forward and lower your hips so you're in that hybrid pose. Lift your chest up. Nice, bring your heart open. Seat to heels, child's pose. Stretch the arms in front of you. We're only here for a breath. Inhale, rise to your hands and knees, downward facing dog as you exhale. And then shift to your high plank. Everything is strong. Your knees are lifted, your pelvic muscles are lifted, your abdomen is lifted. Now shift your left hand center. Maybe you drop to your left knee and spin onto your left side. Good. Vashisthasana. Maybe your top leg is lifted, maybe you're holding onto the peace finger grip, maybe you have tree pose. Maybe you're on your knee and that's perfectly fine for you today. One more breath. Whatever you're doing with that top leg, bring it behind you. Find your dancer's bridge. Lift your heart up and open. Breathe. And as you empty your breath, spin it back around to a high plank. Hold here for a moment. This time, bring your forearms to the floor. Adjust yourself so you're in a forearm plank. Pull your elbows towards your chest. Pull your chest towards your hands. And lower down onto your hips. Sphinx pose. Legs are separated. So think about still squeezing your elbows together and towards your rib cage. Bring your heart forward. Inhale. Can you release your glutes a little bit, right? Try not to squeeze onto them. If this feels good and you want more, straighten your arms. Bring your chin down. Listen to your bodies. Empty the breath. Release back to your forearm, sphinx, and push back to your heels. Child's pose. This time, let your arms rest by your side, palms face up. Bring your chin to your chest and your head towards the floor. Let your shoulders drape open over your thighs. Melt yourself. You know, in every practice, even yin, every practice has peace and power built into it. There's times that you're in a single pose and you feel both of them. At any given time, it could start off peaceful and end up powerful, or it could start powerful and end up peaceful. So let your body go through those ranges. Let your mind go through the ranges with you. Don't fight it. Allow the peace to be there, the stillness. One more breath. Now bring your chin to your chest and sit back on your heels. Take your time so you don't get dizzy. And then rise up onto your shins. Double up your mat if you need to protect your knees a little bit more. Separate your legs so they're about hips width apart and bring your hands onto your back. Fingers can be in either direction. Try to get your elbows hugging close together. And let your hands be like a support for your back, right? And they can stay right there. Good. Breathe in. Lift up as if there were a string at your sternum pulling you up and backwards. Now when you do that, the tendency is just to kind of collapse the hips a little bit. So I want you to think about lifting your heart up, arching back, and then pushing your hips forward. Good, just a gentle, maybe not so gentle back bend. Maybe you need to tuck your toes a little bit. And then come back up, stand up on your knees, and sit back on your heels. Grab a hold of them. Bring your chin to your chest, forehead to your knees. And then lift your hips up off your heels, round your spine, rabbit pose, Sarasvangasana. As you pull your heels, feel your upper back spread apart. Draw your navel point up to your spine. There's no weight on your head. Push the weight into the top of the foot and or shin. One more breath. And then lower your hips to your heels. Slowly rise up to sitting on your heels. And then bring your weight back up onto your shins. Second and final Ustrasana camel pose. If you need to, you tuck your toes under. Hands on your back, elbows squeezed together. You can have your hands in either direction, whatever feels right for your shoulders. And you can either go one arm at a time or two arms to find your heels. And when you find your heels, remember that you're like a slant board now. Now I want you to push your hips forward so your back arches a little bit more. So instead of just coming here and kind of hanging our heels, the hips down towards our heels, I'm going to push forward and create that arc. If grabbing a hold of your heels is too hard, again, do two toes tucked under or one arm at a time. Take a couple breaths, one more at least. Coming out of it the way you came in, or maybe hands to heart, rise up. Good, sit back on your heels. This time let's interlace our fingers behind our back, palms together, chin to chest, head to knee, top of the head to the floor. Inhale, lift your hips up off your heels, arms come up. Try to keep the head and the knees together. If you push down through the top of your foot and shin, you'll take some of that pressure off your head. One more big breath in. As you exhale, release your hips to your heels. Child's pose with your arms by your side. Drape your shoulders open, let go. And then walk your hands back out in front of you. Rise up to your hands and knees. Tuck your toes, downward dog. This will be our last down dog and our last vinyasa, just to wipe the slate clear. Come forward to your high plank, any version of chaturanga you want or not. Roll through it. And find your downward dog one more time. Bring your right knee to the floor underneath your hips, so step it halfway through. Take the left knee behind it, open up your feet to the opposite sides of the mat. Have a block nearby should you need it, and have a seat on your floor or on your block, stacking your right knee over your left knee. Ideally, textbook picture, your heels are in line. Not textbook picture, me. All right, so the general public, right? Gen Pop. So I also like to take my hands inside my inner foot and kind of massage it, because I can't go to the foot massage place anymore right now, right? So I'm just giving myself a little foot massage. Leveling off the hips. If your knee is high, your hips are tight. So what? You can sit on a block, or you can keep it up there and just, kind of work with the breath and let it keep coming to you. So the option is to stay right where you are. The other option, follow me if you'd like, arms come up overhead. Take your right arm under your left arm once or twice, eagle wrap, lift your arms all the way up. And as you exhale, we're going to fold outside that right knee and twist. Keep pushing your hips to the floor, right? Breathe. Any variation here is welcome, but I do want your hips to stay grounded. So you may not get as big a twist as you think you might want or would like to have or could do. Slowly come out of this twist. Release your arms up overhead. Come to your hands and knees. Stretch back to a plank. Good, breathe. Left knee on the floor in the middle of the mat, right leg comes behind it. Open up your feet wide. Have a seat on the floor or on a block. Again, if your knee is lifted higher, sometimes my knee is way, way up. into a different pose, just take your legs into Sukhasana if you need to. So stay grounded on the sitting bones. Lift your spine long. Breathe in, breathe out. And then take your arms up overhead if you want. Plan B. Left arm under right once or twice. Eagle wrap. Go to Udasana arms up. And then lean forward and rotate outside that left thigh. The tendency, because the hips are tight, perhaps, is to rock a little forward and lose that stretch on the hips. So keep your grounding on the floor. Can you lift your belly off your thighs? Slowly come on back. Release your arms, stretch it up. Come forward onto your hands and knees, step to a high plank. Breathe in. Good. Shift forward once again, drop the hips. Bring the belly to the floor. Low cobra pose, inhale. Lift your hands up off the floor. Exhale, squeeze your arms by your side. One more breath, a little higher. And come down to the floor. Good. Push back to child's pose, one breath. And then sweep your legs out in front of you. I'm going to turn my mat on the side so if you're watching, if you have any questions, you can see. You stay just where you are. Tamara's got that great round mat so she can go in any direction. That's cool. All right, so your legs are out in front of you, Dandasana staff pose. So shift yourself from side to side, rock the flesh out. And separate your legs just about hips width apart, not too far. Hands down by your knees to pull your chest forward. So your spine should be nice and strong. Toes turn up towards your face. Pull your kneecaps up. And then push your quadriceps into your hamstrings and your hamstrings into the floor. Very active pose here. Check it out and see what you're gripping onto. See if you can let go of your arms without any action or any movement in your spine. Now if your arms are up, lengthen your spine on the inhale. And then reach towards your toes, but don't go there. Just to the first point of where you're feeling the hamstrings talk to you. And then come back up. It could be small degrees, right? Just little tiny, everything is strong here, everything is strong here. Reach out. And if you need to hold on to the floor, then you just do the same thing, right? So reach out to the first point where you feel those hamstrings. For me, it's right away. Good. Now, take your peace fingers, reach a little forward. If you have to, bend your knees. Otherwise, grab a hold of your big toes, lengthen your spine, don't collapse. I don't want your head to your knees, I don't care. I know we can all touch our head to our knees, especially if we hang from our ligaments. Breathe in, bring your collarbones forward, shoulders down, stay connected to the earth. One more big breath. Pull against your toes, lengthen your spine. And then release with control. Lift all the way up to a nice tall L shape. Now I want you to point your toes. I want you to drop your chin towards your chest. Pull your belly towards your spine and round your back. Relax your shoulders from your ears. Check out your mat behind you and roll down slowly, one vertebrae at a time. So I always tell you, about 45 degrees, right about where I am, gravity wants to pull you down. So you've got to fight that gravitational force, and that's where muscular action comes in. All the way back to the floor. Hug your knees into your chest. I think we need a good spinal twist. Arms shoulder height. Move your hips to the right. Let your knees fall to the left side. And take it to the other side. If there's anything you'd like to do, a headstand, a handstand, an arm balance, a bridge, a wheel, any other pose, boat pose, pigeon pose, feel free to take that now on your own. And those of you who are ready to go back into your Shavasana, make your way onto your backs. So those of you who are going to kind of play around for a few moments, go for it. It's your practice, so I want you to feel that you've gotten enough out of the practice that you can settle into your Shavasana. So breathe in and empty out. If you're on your back in your Shavasana, receptive. Your legs, your hips are open, receptive. Nice, Cindy, beautiful. Good. And then scan your body from head to toe. Notice if there's any points that remain tense. And direct your breath to those spaces. So this may be the only opportunity of your day, of your week, to completely surrender, do nothing. To allow your body to accept the practice. So the physical practice just takes us to this point. That's the icing on the cake. Let go. For those of you who like to stay longer, just ignore what I'm saying or take your sound and turn off. And for those of you who need to return to this time, this space, begin to deepen your breath. Begin to move your fingers, your toes, your wrists, your ankles. Stretch your arms over your head, your legs away from you. And take your time to make your way back onto either side. Find a few breaths in your fetal pose. And then slowly bring yourselves back to a comfortable seat. Bring your hands to your heart center. A moment of gratitude to yourselves for getting on the mat this morning, and every time you show up on that mat. And a moment of gratitude from me to you for being there and allowing me to share and guide you in practice this morning. Om Shanti, 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 Om. Peace, peace, peace to all. Let's all bow and honor the light, the goodness, the peace, the love within each one of us. Namaste. Satnam. Go in peace. Have a wonderful rest of your Saturday. Those of you at home, stay fit, stay healthy.